afternoon, Paul. Do you expect Paul Stastny to be on the flight to Montreal today?
Oh, yeah, he'll be on the flight for sure.
We'll go next to John Waro from the Associated Press. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Paul. John Waro with the AP. I'm self-quarantining in your own old stomping grounds in Windsor.
Nice for you.
Yeah, actually, my sister-in-law sold your dad sold your first house here, Stacey
very good.
Slavic.
Yeah, very nice.
But on a more important note, when a star player of any team, in this case, a guy like Carey Price, starts, to dominate the way he is and teams build confidence, how difficult is it for opponents to kind of blunt that momentum that he is creating for, the Canadians right now?
Yeah, you know what? I've been in a bunch of series, and you know what? It's funny. It might be more accurate going back a long time. In Montreal, Jose Theodore was playing, and he had, I think that was his main. He might have won the Hart that year, but he was unbelievable. I mean, I think in one of those games, we got down 2-1 or maybe 2-1 in that series. And I don't know if I got these numbers right. It's 20 years ago, but I think we outshot them about 42-16 one night and lost 4-1. When we're down 3-0 going into the third period, which would have put them up 3-1 in that series. And that would have been, especially with the way that goaltender was playing, it would have been a real tough. And of course, that didn't happen. But I guess before you'd be in a panic, like if we were getting a whole lot of offense, right? If we were putting up 45 shots with 15-8 chances, it can get into your head. The last night, we gave up a shorthanded goal and 5-on-5. Our guy threw up a 0-2. So it's balanced for us. I mean, we expect good goaltending. Mike Smith was really good in the series prior. But we have that kind of our anchor at the other end of the ice, right, in our net too. So the goaltending almost isn't as much of a factor maybe as people think. We haven't generated the offense that we would like to in this series, and we may not with right now going the first two with Stastny and then Stastny and Scheifele out. So a 1-0 game is a place that we got to get real comfortable living.
We'll go next to Ted Wyman from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Paul, what's the ask of Pierre-Luc Dubois right now with Mark Scheifele out?
Oh, it's more minutes against what will be a heavier shutdown line. I mean, that didn't really happen very much here in the first two. It's going to happen more in the next two. And then in as much as, we win 2 games, our first 2 games of the Edmonton series, and Mark's not on the board for those, you don't give anything up. And at some point, you got to be one better than the line you're playing against. That's all.
We'll go next to Kelly Moore from 680 CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you, Gregor. Good afternoon, Paul. Just to go back to what you were mentioning there about getting comfortable in a 1-0 game from that perspective, and can you overemphasize the importance of scoring first in this particular matchup?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a truth to that you might think. So you'll go back to the Toronto-Montreal series. Montreal has a 2-goal and a 3-goal lead in 2 of the games they win in overtime. So as you get further down the playoff road and a 1-goal lead seems like it's such a big deal that you have a tendency then to really protect that, where maybe regular season 1 goal, you're still pushing for all you can get. I think the lead isn't insurmountable in these games. I think you can find a way to get back into it.
We'll go next to Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks very much. Afternoon, Paul. You often talk about the different styles, Eastern Conference in a traditional year in Western. I guess how much of that do you think we're seeing here? A lot of folks, of course, they look at the Vegas-Colorado series and say, my goodness, it looks like they're playing a completely different kind of hockey than what this series has been. Yeah,
so this wouldn't be relative to my comments about that, right? So our Eastern Conference experience, because we haven't made it to the final, has been all regular season. So it's a different animal. And the Western Conference games, they're far more physical, right? So this one, I mean, I know I see the hit numbers, but it's not a physical series, right? It's, but I thought, the mini Vegas series, right? Even the Colorado St. Louis, even though it's short, those are pretty heavy series. Those checks are getting finished. and there's big men doing it. So, it's not relative to the regular season.
And final question to Sarah Oleski from TSN. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thanks, Paul. Or thanks, Gregor. Paul, when people think about Pierre-Luc, I think so many people have the playoffs or the bubble last year in their mind as the style of game that he can play. For you, what is kind of that next level as a Winnipeg Jet for him to have success maybe in this series against Montreal?
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain size and physicality to his game that I think can come out with the puck, right? That's something he can build on, and it's not just finishing checks and those kind of things that he can take people to the net. I think, I mean, he was really good in that series. I don't know if you've noticed this though, but if you play Toronto, things have a tendency to get magnified, right? It's just a thought. I don't know if I can prove that, but so he was good in that series and physically dominant. We think he can do some things that use speed and size with the puck, and saw pieces of that, but we obviously think he can get the net.
Thanks very much, Coach.
Okay.
Sorry about the quick one, guys. We got a plane in 30 minutes.